everybody, THACIA here with Legacy of Light in conjunction with One Love Wellness Center. I'm just coming to you as part of my 365 days of sharing from my heart to yours. And today talking about how to stop fear. And fear is such a strong emotion that can keep us in spaces that we don't even want to be, and can keep us from being who we want to be. And I just want to share, some things that I'm fearful about in hopes to help you know that when you have fears, it is just wanting you to have the opposite of what that fear is showing you. So, a simple thing would be fear of the darkness. It wants to show you that you can have light. So, I guess for a lot of years and maybe a lot of lifetimes, I have been fearful of being who I am and speaking my mind, and because I am afraid of what people think, and I want to be liked, like Stuart Smalley, I think it was, because gosh darn it, I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and I like that, and I want people to like me, and so a lot of times I don't really speak my mind or my truth, or do the things that I want to do, or I've stayed in places, I've stayed in relationships for fear of what might happen if I wasn't in that relationship. And, some of them have been pretty horrible spaces for me to stay in. And, to the point where it was detrimental to my health. To the point where one of them I had ended up getting 2 herniated discs. And at the time I was probably like 120 pounds at the most. And my doctor said to me, I have never seen such an extreme case on someone who is your size. He's like, normally these cases are on people that are 300 and 400 pounds. So that's what I manifested by believing and listening to my fear. The fear of being who I am, the fear of not being good enough. So I wanted to come here today to just share some stories and just show you that to stop fear, we just have to face it. And then once you face it, you end up realizing that it wasn't as horrible as the fear made you believe that it was. So I just want to share a couple stories, about facing my fear. So the fear of not being liked, because I might say something weird or something crazy or, whatever. So I have a story that I've told a couple people, but not really a lot, because I was like, oh my God, they're going to think I'm crazy. And usually, after that, what really is the worst thing if people know these things? And, if it resonates with somebody, if it helps somebody to face their fears or to come out of whatever issue they're having, that's what I want to do as a teacher, as a healer, as a musician. Like, all these things are tools to help people. So it's probably over a year now. Yeah, because it was probably like August or something of last year, I was doing some regression therapy, and I was being taught like how to go in and do it for myself. So we were in, and I had all my guides, my loved ones, the lords, the Akashic records, and I was asking them to show me these instances. And, we went back, and I kept having this vision and this feeling of just like, other than all I could explain is just like this evilness, this just like grossness that kept like encroaching upon me. And like, we went through all these other stories, and this one just kept coming back, and then we were just about to, to leave, to come back to the here and now. And she was like, is there anything else that you see? And I was like, yeah, I was just getting this feeling like of this like demon evilness. And all of a sudden this form started appearing like from the ground up, and it just kept growing, and it got blacker and darker, and like I can't quite remember, like, but I knew like it was like some like just evil figure. And the lady that was doing my training like almost fell like back and got kind of like knocked out. Like it was just this powerful, gross, evil stuff. And so we did some sage, and like, it left, it subsided quickly. And then I was like, oh, what was that? And she was like, I think we should, do a specific session for you, dealing with this thing. And I was like, okay. And I got in my car to leave, and it was just like, it was fear. Not only like I saw that thing and what it was, this is from my past, like, what is this thing? My entire life, I had this strange, like, fear of darkness and demons, and, at all different points. And so I had to drive home by myself in the dark with that. And it just like, it kept coming back every night, to the point where I went back to sleeping with my lights on, because we couldn't like get together for like another week or a week and a half. It seemed like an eternity to deal with whatever this was. And it was just the biggest thing. So I went back for the appointment, and I brought, some reinforcements. My daughter and boyfriend at the time. And so we all went in with our guides and what have you not. And there was several lifetimes of, what I would consider some pretty horrific stuff. Like, some demon worship, some, one lifetime I was sacrificed on a table, and then another one I felt like just all these, and I think it was that one actually, like all before I was sacrificed, like these little demon creatures just crawling like all over me. And before they sacrificed me, they all, the males at least, had sex with me. And then what transpired from that is that the person that I was with, that was the leader of this cult, died. And they blamed me. So this is what they did, in like sort of a retaliation. And unbeknownst to them, he had already like attached himself to me. So that demon that came up in that session was like part of him, and like part of all these other lifetimes, to cause me fear so that I wouldn't go back in and try to look at it and to see it. And when we went back in and went through all these lifetimes and like looked at this, it was like nothing compared to what it was at that moment, like when we first found it, so to speak. It was as if it was like, oh shit, like they found us, you know, there's nothing we can do. Because I wanted to face my fears and I wanted to be okay with that. And my fear, a lot of times with the whole story, is like even sharing this experience. Because A, people might think it's weird. B, you know, it's like, how do you know? Like, I know these things. And I know, like, I struggled with demonic images even while, you know, having sex with people. And I never knew where that came from. And it was like, it was painful for all those years before, because I was like, what the fuck is this? And on top of that, you know, I was raised Christian, so I was like, what is wrong with me? To, like, where are these coming from? And after facing that experience and having that regression and looking at those fears, it stopped that fear of that situation, the fear of these demons, the fear of the darkness. Like, you know, a couple weeks later, I was able to release all of this and, you know, go back to not having to have a light on when I walked up my hallway or, you know, in my room at night. Because I faced it and I realized, too, on top of that, that I chose to go through all that stuff, to have all those experiences so that I could realize how radiant and magnificent you become when you can stop your fears, when you stop believing in the story of that fear, when you can look at it and love it and appreciate it for being there. And I have found talking about it as well as every time I do, it's like a little bit more lifts up and a little bit more lifts up. And it's like, okay, like, what's the big deal? Maybe somebody is going to watch this video and be like, holy shit, you know, I had something similar. And know that you can make it through it. You can get through this. We have teams to help us, and these are teams that we've set up. We've set up this support so that when we get here, you know, maybe we will realize this time, this lifetime. Maybe we won't, but they're always there. It doesn't matter. Like, but when you can face your fear, when you can look at your fear, you can stop your fear. And it doesn't have to hold you back from anything, and it doesn't have to hold you in anything. In a place you don't want to be, in a relationship you don't want to be, in any space you don't want to be. Fear is showing you that you have the opposite power. So from fear, we have light, we have love. I did some shadow work some months back, and I'm still doing it, but my greatest mask that I kept putting on was fear. And when I burnt it and found out the mask that I could replace it with, it was love. Because when you love everything, fear cannot exist. When you love those stories, that you keep telling yourself that because of fear, it cannot exist. The truth comes out, the light comes out, and you stop fear where it's at. And so I just want to empower and implore you all to know that you have the power to face your fears. It doesn't matter what it is. You have the power. You are a creator. You are a magnificent being of light. And when you step into your power, fear cannot keep you anywhere. You have the ability to stop fear. So I love you all and want you to know you are eternally adored and loved beyond anything you can imagine on this earth. See you tomorrow.